Hello, everybody.
All right. Hello and welcome to Oceanside Library's beginner guitar lesson. For those of you musically inclined who want to get an idea about how to approach learning the guitar, this program is for you. We'll touch on some basics and how to pick a good starter guitar, the psychological benefits of engaging with the guitar, an intro to strings, how to hold the guitar using a pick or your fingers will be demonstrated. So now I'd love to introduce our instructor for today, Adam Burke. Take it away, Adam.
Thank you, Ocaria. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thanks to Ellen Ocaria for the opportunity to chat about the guitar. As was mentioned, the topic is beginning guitar, and I'll talk about some of the reasons or benefits of engaging, give you some pointers about getting your first instrument if you don't already have that, suggest ways of figuring out how to approach learning, and provide some references to sources of information. I will also demonstrate some accessories that I think you'll need that'll be helpful in the learning journey. And I'll be demonstrating two types of guitars so that you could see how they differ in terms of sound, a steel string acoustic and a nylon string acoustic. Toward the end, I'll demonstrate how we can learn a simple song using an online resource called eChords. I will try to make my notes available to Ocaria after the meeting, and it'll have links to some of the items that I've discussed. So just for starters, you know, I've been playing guitar most of my life. I think I basically started out playing because my dad played. He played classical guitar, and he learned in his early 30s. And I just remember, at home every night, for 20 minutes or a half an hour, there was guitar music in the house, and it intrigued me, and I wanted to do the same, and it kind of drew me in. And as a matter of fact, I have my dad's guitar right here, which I will show you. This is about a 75 or an 80-year-old guitar. It's a Favia. It's a nylon string guitar. You could see it's a little bit worn and weathered, but that's normal for wood of that of that age. You can see there's some cracks in the back, but it still it still plays nicely. And I get to hug it a little bit, and it reminds me of my dad. So, what are the benefits? Why learn the guitar or any instrument for that matter? So, from my point of view, it's a lifetime hobby that can keep you interested. It's one that's not physically demanding, and for me, it's been like very calming. I derive a lot of pleasure out of it. It's creative. I was never one for learning a lot of songs, but I would learn little bits and pieces and then somehow use that to create my own stuff. Along the way, I've taken some lessons. I've taken some basic lessons when I first started out, maybe when I was 11 or 12, and then periodically found teachers that, as I advanced, that I learned more from. The other nice thing about playing music and learning an instrument is the social component of it. I can honestly say that a huge chunk of my friendships developed out of music, and it's basically a really good way to meet people of similar interests. And before the whole COVID thing started, I belonged to a group called Long Island Fingerstyle Guitar Club, and we used to meet every month. Everybody would prepare one or two songs and then perform them for the group. There were like 25 people there and of varying abilities. Some of them just getting started, and some of them, quite advanced that I really enjoyed listening to. So as far as if you're really new to the guitar and you're trying to figure out which one should I buy, I'll just show you. Well, this one is the nylon string. So let's see. I want you to just get an idea of how this sounds, and then we'll compare it to the steel string. It's got a kind of sweet sound. It's got a full body. And I'll show you what the steel string sounds like in comparison. Try to play the same thing. This is going to be a little more percussive. I mean, depending on your touch, you can make it more or less percussive, but intrinsically it has more of a bite to it. Okay. So when you're looking for your first guitar, like a suitable starter guitar, from what I've found, there's a couple of brands that will give you decent value for about $200. You can find Yamaha, Epiphone, Fender, and Ibanez in the steel string department. And then Cordoba is probably the most popular for nylon string guitars, and they make pretty nice guitars as well. And that's somewhere in the 200 plus range. If you've been playing for a while and you want to take a step up, you might need to spend about $5 and a little more, but that opens up other brands like Taylor, Martin, Guild, Breedlove, and maybe even Gibson. So, but if it's an entry-level guitar that you're looking for, what I've found is that the local guitar shops stock them, and they have a decent selection. The reason being is that it's a lot of their students that come in, they need a guitar as well. So the local shops have already figured out, let's bring in these 3 or 4 brands, and because we know that they're decent and so forth. But beyond that, if you really want to do some research, I think one of the best places to go is Sweetwater.com. It's really an unbelievable online store, and you can go there and you can filter on various guitars and prices, and you'll get a list of tons of stuff. I don't know if anybody's interested, I could show that site right now, and you could see what I'm talking about. Ocaria, I'm not sure, is that is that possible for me to show my screen temporarily?
Yes, go ahead. You're co-host, so you can do it.
Okay.
On the bottom of your screen, it's just say share screen.
Share screen. Got it. Okay. So I think you're seeing my screen now, right? Yeah, cool. Okay, so this is sweetwater.com. You can filter on your price range. Right now, there's no filter, but if I were to, let's say, filter here, 200 to 300, see, these are some of the brands that I mentioned, the Ibanez, the Cordoba, Yamaha. So really, there's a pretty decent array of guitars if you're in the market for that. Okay. Now I need to figure out how to not share my screen. There we go. Stop sharing. Okay, so in terms of actually getting started, these are some of my recommendations. I think finding a teacher is still the best way because you're going to wind up shortcutting and really, learning probably a few bad habits if you don't have somebody to help you with the fundamentals. So as far as, music schools, there's plenty of music schools in the area, and local music schools are probably also doing, a lot of them are doing online lessons at this time. So, you can do a Zoom lesson and you'll get the benefit of that as well. And the next best option without a teacher is to use a guitar method book. This is my opinion. I think it's the next best thing to having a teacher because it's formulated, it's well thought out. It's something that, some of these books have been around for for 40 years. So like they've had a chance to fine tune, and they've actually gotten better over time. One of the books that I recommend is the Hal Leonard Guitar Method Complete Edition. It's a 3-pack. It comes with 3 books. The cost is about $25 for all 3, and it also gives you some audio capabilities. So it's not video, but you can listen to the songs that you're learning to play. You can slow them down. It has a little player. So like if you're unable to perform at the speed, you can just slow it down. So and it teaches you, there's a lot of it's packed with information. The final way that a lot of people are learning nowadays, and it's amazing. We're really in the in the age of the internet, we've gotten access to things that we would never have been able to before. Like I go to YouTube a lot, and I watch these crazy good guitar players, and you could find anything, and there are lessons there too. The other thing that I've found is there's a udemy.com course, and it's a beginner's challenge 30-day guitar course. It costs $12.99 for the 30 days, which is, everybody can see that's pretty inexpensive for 30 days worth of learning. So, and then there's another site called TrueFire. That's $150 for the year, but that gives you access to literally thousands of videos from renowned guitar instructors in so many genres. And the people giving these courses are people that, like, you would just, you would never be able to actually find them. They're all across the country, and they're just, amazing players. So that's one great thing. And then finally, I found this other site called echords.com, and that's great for learning songs. If you have a chord vocabulary, even if it's limited, you could find songs that you can play, and it gives you the chord charts for the songs that you want to learn. I can show that too. I think that might be useful. Sharing my screen. Okay. Okay. So this is echords.com, and this this to be a member of eChords, it costs $1.93 a month. I have no idea how they came up with that price of $1.93, but it's a, I don't see how you can beat that. So I found this Bob Marley song that I like, and I'm going to probably use this. I'm going to demonstrate this one, and there's a section here, I believe, where it gives you the chords, right? Let's see. But one of these tabs will actually show you the chords. Chords. I'm clicking, but it's not doing it. Well, I'll show it to you on my other screen because I did capture that. Okay. We'll get to that shortly, but this is what also you see on that site. So it shows you how to actually play the chords that are contained in the music. Sorry, I realized I wasn't showing my screen just then. I'll show it to you afterwards. Okay, so I think we've covered online learning. I'm gonna show you a couple of other, related pieces of equipment that I think are really critical when you're first getting started. Are they able to see the headstock? Not really, right? Headstock, okay. So on the headstock of my guitar, I have a tuner. It's called a chromatic tuner, and it reads the vibrations of the strings, and it tells you when you're in tune. So this is really important because when you're first getting started, there's a lot of times you feel like, oh, it doesn't, really doesn't sound great. And then, you finally realize, oh, it didn't, later on you realize it didn't sound great because my guitar wasn't in tune. So this will prevent some of that. So here's how this works. When you strike a note, this is an E. I'm not sure if you can see, but it's reading out E, and it's also telling me, in this case, that it's a little flat. And when it strikes right in the middle, then you know that you're in tune. I'm gonna do that for the rest of the strings. A, D, G, B, E. Yeah, so this is a really critical thing to have, in my opinion. The next thing I'm going to show you is a metronome. I've had this metronome since before the flood. It's a Korg. It's probably about $10. You can change the tempo, make it faster or slower.
Adam, we had a question from in the chat. Is that the most standard guitar tuning?
Is that the most, you mean the way I have the guitar tuned? Or are we talking about the tuner?
Let me see if he responds. Larry, if you want to let us know. Just giving him a chance to write it down.
Sure. I mean, if you want to unmute him, it's okay.
Yeah, Larry, if you'd like to unmute yourself, go ahead.
have to turn off the metronome. Larry, what was your question?
I was asking what was the most standard guitar tuning?
Oh, the way I have it tuned now is considered standard tuning, so it's E, A, D, G, B, E. But there's a lot of alternate tunings. Like I've been experimenting with it's called drop D. Probably for the past 2 years, I think I've played almost everything in drop D that I've been working on, and that's where you tune the E string, the low E string, down to a D, and it forces you to play. Unfortunately, it forces you to play in the key of D more than you would like. But the key of D is a wonderful key for the guitar. It really rings out.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So I'm gonna show you how I use the metronome. I basically use it for practice and warm up. And here's an exercise that you guys can try if you'd like. I'm going to make it even slower. So when you want to warm up, or when you want to build up some coordination between your left and right hands, I do an exercise like this. I play the notes chromatically, and I try to keep it in time with the metronome. So clearly it's not something that sounds great, but the purpose is really not for the sound, but more for the exercise of it. And then the last piece of equipment I would like to show you guys is a capo. They come in a lot of different flavors. This is my favorite one now. It's a shub, and this is a G7, which was my favorite until I got the shub. And then there's also Diodario. That's a decent one as well. And the purpose of the capo is to raise the pitch of the guitar. So if I put this on the, so let me just show you the chord before I put it on. A little out of tune, but the same chord now is a whole step up. So let's say if I had learned a song in the key of D with the D chord, but then somebody wanted to play it in the key of E, instead of me having to learn the chords all over again, I can just move the capo up. So now that I'm playing in E in this position, and then you can get some very nice effects from it too. Like let's say I want to put it up on the 6th fret, which is 6 half steps above the usual. It's almost going to take on the quality of a slightly different instrument. So, it's a pretty useful tool. Okie dokie. I'm going to touch on holding the guitar, proper hand position, and just to give you a little insight into that. Okay, so generally you want to have a little bit of elevation. So what I do is I cross my right leg. The other option, which is the classical way of doing it, is to raise your left leg, but this requires a stool. So you would need a guitar stool, or if you have anything handy like a little footstool in the house, you can do that. But in either case, the value of that is that the neck is elevated up a little bit instead of dragging down like this, which is not going to be the best playing position. You're going to find yourself all out of whack. So if you have it like this, the guitar is up, in the proper position. So that's, and as far as left hand position goes, you want to have a little bit of curve in your fingers, and try to have them relaxed. And then in the back of the guitar, your thumb is going to move up and down the neck as you move your fingers like this. And this is basically like a fulcrum. It just gives you a way to, to hang on and to keep in position. Let's see. Okay. So now I'll show my screen and I'll show you the tune that I wanted to show you how we can learn this through the E chords. Let me show my screen. I lost it. There we go. Sorry, I'm a little incompetent, but okay. Okay, so if we want to learn this song, it has 4 chords. It has C, G, A minor, and F. So if you want to play along, feel free. If you know these chords, that's a C. So if you've not seen chord charts before, they're very, it takes a little while to get used to them, but they're understandable after a while. So this means put your third finger on the third fret, the 5th string. This means put your second finger here on the E, which is the 4th fret, fourth string, 2nd fret, and then the C on the 1st fret, 2nd, and then so on and so forth. And then here's the G. Here's the A minor. And then here's an F. So if you haven't played these chords before, and you want to learn how to play this song, basically you'd spend some time and practice those chords until you get them down, and then you'd be able to play this song. I'll play it for you. I remember when we used to sit in a government yard in Trenchtown, observing the hypocrites mingle with the good people we meet. Good friends we have, good friends we've lost along the way. In this great future, you can't forget your past. So dry your tears I say. No woman will cry. No woman will cry. 4 chords, and I can't tell you how many songs there are with those same chords. So here's just another something that I came up with that's using those same 4 chords but sounds different. And I'm going to detune. This is the drop D that I was talking about before. Also, just the same 4 chords. Thank you. I think that pretty much concludes the demo for tonight. Happy to take any questions if anybody has any questions.
How do you play that with bar chords? The what you showed us.
Oh, yeah. So bar chords are out. If you've tuned it that way, so like you might have noticed. Normally, this is what you would do for an F chord, but I'm playing it like this. Oh, what's the matter? Oh, let me I'll make my stop sharing my screen. Stop share. Sorry. So yeah, that's a good question. That's a really good question. So when you're using drop D, everything gets shifted up. So this becomes a G. And so normally, if you're going to be playing a G chord like this with the bar, you can't really do that. So you're playing it like this. But it kind of lends itself a little more to you can strum with it too. You just have to be cognizant of which strings to let ring out. You can still strum. You just you've shifted everything over one. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I guess with the song, is there a way to play the song with the bar chords?
It would be a lot
without with the standard.
Yeah, I mean, it would probably be a lot harder for me because I've adapted all of my fingering to go with that.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like I could have, because I guess the value that you're getting out of the drop D is like there's a lot of open strings that you wouldn't normally be able to take advantage of. So you have the D and the G when you're playing in drop D. Like I don't even have to play all the notes of the G, but you know that it's a G. I don't have a B in there. I don't know. It's an acquired taste, but it's pretty useful.
Cool, cool. And what about the other song? The other song, playing it that way. The No Woman, No Cry.
You could. So yeah, it's pretty adaptable.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it's something,
Adam.
Something to experiment with.
Yeah, Adam, it's Alan. I wanted to ask you about that piece of music you played in Drop D right after you played No Woman, No Cry. Was that an original composition of yours?
Yeah, that was original. Actually, I kind of misplayed it because I got confused and I started playing a different song that didn't have the same chords, but somehow I managed to get back to, because I really wanted to demonstrate that it was the same, the same chords, but just in, a different combination. But yeah, it was original thing.
Sounded great. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan.
All right. Does anyone have any more questions before we end the recording? All right, let me just end it here.